Okay, it's September 18th, 2024, and I'm with Mr. John J. Jeckovich. We're reading his book, Their Mother's Sons, and the book is basically about Mr. John Jeckovich's life from 11 years old all the way on to he's almost 100. The book.
See, now I used to worry about that book in that drawer.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I'll take care of it. It's about Mr. Jeckovich's life, their mother's sons, how he took care of his mother. He went to World War II. He came out and he went right back home to take care of his mother to his mother's final days. And Mr. Jeckovich right now is knocking on the door of 100 years old. And keep in mind, if you're 40 years old, you have about a 10% chance to make it to 100. Mr. Jeckovich has been stabbed, shot up, beat up, bombed, trench foot, frostbite, you name it, he went through it with World War II. Frontline combat. And so this is not a rear echelon. Furthermore, there was 16,400,000 young men and women who participated in World War II. 16,300,000 are already dead. The ones that are left are in the late 90s or early 100s, and out of the 100,000 that are left, there's only 7,000 left that are combat veterans. Mr. Jeckovich is a true combat veteran, decorated Purple Heart, 2 Bronze Stars. Another interesting note is his family, or no one knew of him being in the Battle of the Bulge and several wars in World War II. He never spoke about it 2 years ago. Many people that did all the bragging over the last 70 or 80 years, they were basically rear echelon, correct?
Yeah.
The rear echelon. Rear echelon was certainly needed in the war, but they never seen, death, blood, destruction every second of every day. So, if you want to give me your dog tag number, I'll proceed.
420-695.
Okay. That gives me the opening to read Mr. Jeckovich's book. This is docu-series 331.
See, I didn't mention the book. How did that book get around?
Well,
they must open that drawer and look at that book.
No one's looking at your book in here. Let me give you an example. But before I give you an example, I'll give you an example now. What the hell? Every night we read, sometimes in the underground bunker, which we have lighting problems, but we're doing all right tonight. Every time we read your book, it automatically goes on YouTube. YouTube's like a social media page.
Yeah.
So I think it was like 4 nights ago, you had 10,000 viewers on one of your segments. So everyone around the world is seeing it. You have text messages from around the world. You have people from England and Russia and
India, Paris,
Australia, Perth, Australia,
Netherlands, yeah.
Ghana. You even had some that sent you hats. Some people sent you gifts. You received cowboy hats from, I think, Houston.
Oh, yeah.
You received gifts from around the world. You received postcards that we couldn't even read the language because we didn't know what the hell.
Yeah.
So you're getting language around the world. But I think the nicest one that we received was from a young man standing in front of the Eiffel Tower. And this young man sent us like a 14 or 15-page video thanking Mr. Jeckovich and all the other World War II vets that freed Paris. Because he's saying, I wouldn't be standing under the Eiffel Tower now if it wasn't for you American soldiers. He was very appreciative. He was a great person. And then also the History Channel did a short segment of what you've done. That was, I believe, over a year ago. And then about 3 months ago, the Daily Mail, which is based out of London, England, circulation of approximately 1 million, did a front page story for you, about you, stating about your romance that you had there with Jean. And that came out in London, and they sent over that 1 million.
No, mail, yeah.
and that was, we were looking for one of your girlfriends named Jean Rowland Young. And we found all the rest of your girlfriends with no trouble at all, but Jean Rowland Young we couldn't find. She was in Haverford West, so that story with big circulation numbers did not bring up nothing, did not bring up a lead. So we have a private investigator from Wales, and he went from house to house on the same street that you gave him in Haverford West. He went to the court records. He asked everyone he possibly knew that lived there for many, many years, and we still do not have a hit on Jean Rowland Young. So if anyone listening knows about Jean Rowland Young,
I think she's dead.
well, maybe so, but there's still a history. There's still a history. Her father was a mayor during the 40s of Haverford West.
Or he was part of the boating area where they have the channel and that sort of thing.
He was a great
he
big
worked for government.
He was a government worker, and he worked in, and also he had a love for boats. So I'm saying, no stone unturned yet. We came up with nothing, but we're digging back 80 years. But we'll eventually get an answer. I don't know when and how much more money has to be spent, but I'm very curious. We're in this thing to the end. Jean Rowland Young, and we'll start again on it. What did you remember about Jean Rowland Young?
Jean Rowland Young?
What did you remember about her?
Oh, she was a sweet girl. She's 27, and she was 2 years older than I was.
Yeah. And how was her parents?
Her parents were typical British. All day the guy would wear a vest and a tie out, all day.
Yeah. Was it wool?
Huh?
Was it wool?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And how about the time you had your buddy with the 6x6 bringing them food? How did that go?
Oh, they fell all over it. They get the number 10 cans.
Number 10 cans.
Yeah.
And what were in these number 10 cans?
There were peaches, plums, carrots. There's no meat in them, though. But these people didn't see that food like that for years. During the war, they cut them off.
The war for many years. In the United States, we never had that, and they appreciated it. So you brought up to supplies on 2 different occasions.
I brought it to the mess kit here.
Yeah. And what did you say? Compliments of?
U.S. Army.
Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
And did they get a laugh out of
Oh,
that?
yeah.
So tell me how appreciative they were. They just say thank you, or did they give you a big hug? How did it go down?
They were really appreciative of it. I mean, they were thanking me. They were thanking me. He said, "You're doing a great thing for us. You're not getting into trouble." And I said, "No, because the mess hall has quality surplus, and I didn't take too much out of it. I took maybe 1 or 2 number 10 cans once a week or something." Yeah.
Would you have gotten in trouble?
Huh?
Would you have gotten in trouble if the staff found out?
Oh, yeah.
But you did a good deed. You brought a family food that they didn't have, that type of food, in a long time.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, you told me the top brass took a yacht all the way from Europe, and he had it shipped to the United States. Tell us that story.
What's that?
You said one of the higher-ranking officers took a boat, a yacht, from Europe, and they shipped it all the way to the United States.
I don't follow her.
You said one of the top officers.
Oh, he brought that.
Tell us the story.
$18,000 boat back
From Europe.
from Europe. All the complicated bookwork to go to that thing and get it from here to Minnesota.
So he went to Minnesota from Europe. So your idea of donating a few cans of number 10 cans to a nice family was more of a
I wasn't getting anything out of it.
It was more of a good, honest gesture.
It was goodwill. That's all.
A goodwill gesture to a nice family that's surely appreciated. But the officer taking that boat all the way to Minnesota, that was...
Well, maybe that was one of many.
What's that?
That was probably one of many officers.
One of many,
correct.
Yeah. One of many.
We'll never know.
No, you'll never know.
They got to have connections all the way from here to Minnesota.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. So we're still looking for Jean Rowland Young. We have no idea where her family is, but we'll keep going. We won't give up. It's just part of the book. It's got to be in there. In fact, Mr. Jeckovich talked to one of his girlfriends, Ann Mahaney from
Oh, yeah, she's 90 years old, a poor woman, yeah.
Owensboro, Kentucky,
Yeah,
and you were able to talk to her 5 years ago. She answered the phone when you called her.
yeah.
But there was a other side of the story. What's the other side?
Well, she still lives there, yeah,
Yeah,
poor
what was the
soul.
other side of the story? Dementia, possibly?
Yeah,
She was not talking clearly.
yeah,
So that was Ann Mahaney. Mr. Jeckovich was dating her during his boot camp in near Owensboro, Kentucky. And,
yeah. I was in Breckenridge, yeah.
Breckenridge, Camp Breckenridge. And they were very, very close. And Mr. Jeckovich left for Wales at the time, and that was the last they seen. And 80 years later, maybe 82 years later, Mr. Jeckovich called her on the phone, and it was very nice, and she was easy to find. Easy to find.
Still live in the same spot.
Yeah. What happened? What is the first thing you did when you got off the phone with Ann Mahaney?
Took her picture down, put my mother up. On the wall there. I had many of those pictures I had on the wall.
Mr. Jeckovich had Ann Mahaney's, his girlfriend's picture on his office wall for so long. When he removed the picture, the wall itself was yellowed. So after that conversation, I thought it went great. Mr. Jeckovich didn't care for
Yeah,
it.
and here's another thing. I never found that professional photograph, Delphine, never found that. Someone must have stole that.
Wait, what are we looking for now?
Now I'm looking for that professional photograph of Delphine.
Yeah, I remember that was nicely done.
Because I took it down and I had it on the front desk near the door. I said, well, maybe that's a bad thing to do. But I had an inkling that something's missing. I said, I'll take that and put it away someplace, and I will get someplace where it's safer. So I took it off and I wrapped it up in a towel. And I thought I put it in the filing cabinet behind the filing cabinet.
Well, I'll look for it more. But getting back, before we go further, Mr. Jeckovich had Ann Mahaney's, his girlfriend from World War II, hanging up in his office picture. And it was up there so long, when he removed it, the wall was yellowed. And after we removed Ann Mahaney's picture, what did you put up? What picture?
Look at my mother.
Your mother. Your mother, right, right. And then we mentioned Delphine. Delphine Stulak was Mr. Jeckovich's wonderful wife. He was married to her for 69 years. Delphine Stulak Jeckovich just died in August 14th, 2020. August 14th, 2020. She would be approximately 94 now. And Mr. Jeckovich is knocking on the door of 100. So it's a long-term relationship. And many times a lot of people don't know this, but when a couple has been married for a long time, 50, 60, 70 years, when the wife passes away, the husband usually only lasts a few months because they're so used to doing everything together.
Yeah, yeah.
They're so used to doing everything together, the cooking and everything you imagine. So that generally speaking, the husband usually only lasts a few months. Mr. Jeckovich has already made it 4 years after his beautiful wife's death of 69 years. But then when, on the opposite side of it, when a husband dies after a long marriage, 50, 70 years, it doesn't go that way with the wives. The wives don't die in 4 or 5 months. The wives are not really affected like a man is, and that he usually dies a few months after the death of his wife. They usually go several years with no problems. So it's funny how these things take place, but that is an absolute fact.
Yeah.
That is right, Mr. Jeckovich?
Yeah.
That's an absolute fact. The men would die when the wives pass away in 4 months, and when the husband passed away, the wives would
Followed up. Yeah.
several years. But getting back to everything in general we're speaking about, let's speak on general terms now. How do you feel today, Mr. Jeckovich?
I feel that the stuff that I tell here, I know stuff was missing here. I know there was stealing stuff here, and you're bringing it up. I hope you got a record of it.
That's for another time. We'll talk about it another time. I'm talking about how you're feeling today. How is your health?
I'm in good shape. I'm in good shape.
The other day you told me you're almost 100, 3 digits, and you said you feel like you're 30 or 40. Is that true today?
Do I?
that you feel like you're 30 or
Not 30 or 40, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And Mr. Jeckovich, by the way,
14 minutes.
he could read a newspaper without any damn glasses. Mr. Jeckovich could squeeze your hand in a handshake and knock you down.
Remember I seen you out there pissing the other day?
Yeah, Mr. Jeckovich has got great eyes. He'll see everything. He might see a man 200 yards away
In the dark.
in the dark, seeing some guy pissing. I don't know how the hell somebody could see that. So what did you see now 200 yards away? You seen a man pissing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You got some damn good eyes. You got sniper eyes. Were you ever a sniper?
No.
You got hit by a sniper.
Huh?
You got hit by a sniper.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You got hit by a sniper.
A second floor, yeah.
And then
That nurse grabbed me. The nurse grabbed me,
you had
yeah.
a blood trail going all the way across the snow of about 100 yards. You were at the end of your road, and that nurse.
That was a good target.
Yeah, what time of the day was this?
That was afternoon.
So it's light, white snow, a red blood trail going for about 50 to 100 yards, and luckily that nurse, which is an angel, pulled you in.
22-year-old nurse, Army nurse.
Well, how old?
22.
God bless her. I hope she's living today and hope she had a good life. She dragged you in.
Huh?
She dragged you
me in, yeah. See, I got the job. Get hold of it.
But let me ask you, when you were shot through the shoulder, did it go through the bone?
No, no.
So you had extreme blood coming from your shoulder, and then you're not walking, you're dragging yourself on your stomach. Did you shoot yourself up with morphine?
The what?
Did you shoot yourself up with morphine?
No, I put the morphine into my leg, but they said when you get shot in the cold weather like this, give yourself a shot. You won't go into shock.
Did you get the shrapnel in your leg at a different time?
Yeah.
So, was it the same day?
No, ear part.
They were a year apart.
I was pinned down with Post. That's when Post got killed.
And Post got killed, but you were pinned down. But how many days or weeks apart is when you got shrapnel in your leg?
When they were pinned down, and the Germans were shooting overhead shells above me and shooting down on us. And that's when I got Post in the head.
Friend Lape got bombed like that, and he only had one ear left, and he had one glass hanging from his glasses hanging from the ear, and you removed them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to think. You got shot in the shoulder by a sniper, and you dragged yourself across the field with a white trail of blood, and a beautiful 22-year-old nurse that was directed by the hands of God of your mother's prayers.
She was in an aid station there.
Yeah. But how far apart did the shrapnel take place? Was it months later you got the shrapnel in your leg, or was it?
That wasn't the same day. No, there were two separate occurrences.
How far apart?
I'd say about 6 months.
6 months. And when you got the shrapnel, did you have to go back to Paris?
Yeah, I was in the hospital for a while. Yeah.
So you were in the hospital on 2 different occasions.
Yeah.
An interesting thing about Mr. Jeckovich, he lives by this motto, and he certainly did this during World War II. The motto Mr. Jeckovich lived by as a young boy in the war was, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. So you were in Paris Hospital for 2 times, but Mr. Jeckovich didn't let the grass grow under his feet. He met a beautiful lady there named Renee, and at times he would see Renee mostly every night when he was able to get around, and sometimes Mr. Jeckovich would have to take a bus to the train station, a train station to a taxi to Renee's house. So he had 3 modes of transportation. But listen, you just didn't sit back and
I was never AWOL either.
you weren't AWOL. But you didn't sit back and pout. You made the best of this hospital stay, and you met a beautiful, beautiful lady. And that's a chapter that we're on now, the news of Renee's tragic death. Minutes, please? And I'm trying to tie this all together. So you made the best of your hospital stay.
10.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
And you made the best of the hospital stay. You met this beautiful lady, a former Roman Catholic nun in Paris, and she was a great artist. right?
Oh yeah, well, she was painting for Germans.
She would paint the German officers.
Portrait. She was painting portraits.
Portraits of the German officers. But let me just get back. How did you meet Renee if you were in a hospital?
How that? She was. I was at a hospital, and I was bored in the room, so I walked around outside the greens, and there was a young lady sitting there with a little boy. She was watching him, and he had a little sailboat in the pond there, and she was watching him, and he didn't go in the water. So I went and started talking to her.
Oh.
That was Renee, yeah.
So you turned that hospital stay into something wonderful.
Yeah.
Describe to us, you never described in your book, what did Renee look like?
Renee?
Yeah.
5'4", 5'6", great Porsche, great, beautiful body, beautiful complexion, nice personality.
What color hair and how long?
She had brown hair, and the hair was shoulder length.
Short.
Yeah.
I see. And how did Renee dress?
She did, well, all depended what she did. She lived at home and doing housework, and then she just put a pair of slacks on and a blouse or something. But when she went with me, she was dressed up pretty comfortable, pretty sexy sometimes too.
Uh-huh. So after Renee got wind in the monastery of her mother and father, which were young people, they were probably only in their 40s, got tortured and murdered by the Nazis who were occupying Paris at the time. And then she got word of her two young brothers, they're probably, I don't know, 17, 18, 19, and they got tortured and murdered by the Nazis when probably the SS, there were 70,000 essayists. What a bunch of horrible, horrible people. And their two brothers got slaughtered. And then she left being a Roman Catholic nun, and then she joined the French Resistance.
Yeah.
Did you go to her office headquarters of the French Resistance?
Yeah, it was down a little piss hole down in the sewer.
Why would you call it a piss hole?
Well, that's where all the garbage went up.
And did Renee carry a machine gun or have a machine gun?
Huh?
Did Renee have a machine gun?
On her?
Or did you ever see a photograph of Renee with a machine
No,
gun?
no, I never seen her with a pistol belt out or nothing, no.
So anyways, she's a great artist in a studio, and Mr. Jeckovich goes in the studio for the first time, and he's kind of taken back because there's portraits on almost every wall of the second floor of SS and German officers, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think those officers never came back for their pictures?
She's doing a good job portraying the officers have big egos.
Yeah, the officers had great big egos. The SS, which had 70,000 of them during World War II, had gigantic egos, but they turned into little babies when the war was ended. They denied who they were. They were cowards.
They're all scattered.
All scattered like rats abandoning a sinking ship. They were badasses when they're beating the shit out of some old lady and some old man, or going to a prisoner of war camp, and for the fun of it, the prisoners are in a field with barely any clothing, maybe a slacks and a t-shirt 20 below, and the SS cruel bastards would just, for the fun of it, they'd laugh at each other.
Well, they pulled the trucks up with canvas backing on the back them up 2 trucks, pulled the backing back, and the guys had machine guns set up. When they pulled those backings up, they just shot in the field.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a minute. How many minutes? And so the prisoner of war camps, these coward SS,
6.
and they would, for the fun of it, these prisoner of war, beautiful young men, Americans, were standing in a field. They have nowhere else to go. So for the fun of it, these SS bastards, they would take fire hoses and hose them down, and 20 below.
Yeah.
And then they also did experimentation on them to see what it's like for a person to freeze to death. But what Mr. Jeckovich was referring to was the 101st Division, which is during the Battle of Bulge, and several hundred of these men, young American soldiers, got caught off guard by the Germans. And they lined them all up, and they said, put your hands up, and if you got tired, your hands came down, you were just shot in the head. But the American soldiers thought they were lining up and putting their hands up because they thought they were being taken to the prisoner of war camps at first, right?
Yeah.
They thought, well, they didn't shoot us by now, so we're probably waiting to get taken and processed to a prisoner of war camp the American soldiers fought. And then after about an hour standing out in the cold with your hands up, and most of these dirty bastard Nazis that steal your shoes, they're crazy people. And so what happened next after they stood up there with their hands? What came about?
Well, they throw the hoses out of them and shot them.
No, what pulled up? The trucks, the canopies?
And the cavalry came up,
Tell
yeah.
us the story. Tell us exactly what happened.
Backed up, yeah.
They backed up, and what did they have in the trucks?
They had the machine guns anchored to the truck.
And they shot down all these young boys. Some of them scattered. Some of them made it, and most didn't. But the another horrible situation was, so if you picture all this snow full of blood, and these dirty bastards, SS, opened up the backs of their trucks, and they had machine guns there, and they just loaded right into them.
Yeah, yeah.
Fired right into them. So now if you can picture this, some of the young boys were lucky. They were able to make it into the woods.
I run in the woods.
Make it in the woods. But the other ones that were wounded, full of blood everywhere.
When they were reading hard on the snow, they're laying down, and when these Germans seen them, somebody breathing real hard, see their breath coming up, they shot them.
Right in the back of the head.
And that's what the guys were trying to not breathing, and some of them died that way too.
Yeah. Minutes?
3 minutes, 30 seconds.
So Mr. Jeckovich is saying this, so after the bastards opened up the drapes in the back of the trucks and gunned down all these defenseless young army men, probably 18, 19, 20, they were all laying on the field, blood everywhere. What a messy situation. And so the SS would be walking around in big fancy clothes and their boots, and if they seen the smoke or the frost coming from one of the soldiers breathing, pop them right in the back of the head,
Yeah.
and that'd be it. But the story gets even worse than that, and then the SS would stand on the back of the truck and say, hey, any of you young Americans, you need help, make a noise and I'll send a medic for you. So your young boys never seen nothing like this, and they thought it was an honest request to help. Once the young boys that were really injured badly would make a noise, the SS would come and just blow their brains out. So many of the people that still were alive, they were afraid to breathe. They were afraid to breathe. And some of them that were left for dead, but they were alive, they were thinking in their mind, how am I going to react if the SS kicks me between the legs, and if I jump and I move, I'm dead. So a lot of the guys that were left for dead were thinking, let me psych up myself so when these bastards kick me between the leg, I could not have to move or jump or show any.
Yeah, and you can't do it.
They couldn't do it, but luckily the ones that said that survived. The ones that we never heard about were killed by the SS. Were killed by the SS.
Yeah.
So it was a horrible situation. That was part of the Battle of the Bulge, and people should never forget that. It was a really bloody and horrible, horrible war. Yeah.
Now, I'm real interested in what you're telling me about Michelle, me living here, yeah.
Yeah, but how many minutes on this one?
Let me see. We got a minute and a half.
Okay, so we're going to wind down this book today on the final chapter that we're reading on. There's many chapters more, but the final chapter on news of Renee's tragic death. I only think we have about 5 pages left. We'll read that at another time. But
Now, what time is it now?
let me see, Mr. Jeckovich. 8:30 almost. So
8:30.
we'll watch the news, but let's just finish up this
Yeah.
thing here. And so you did a good job recording today. You're looking chipper. And did you ever use your GI Bill rights to go to
No, PL-16, no.
PL-16?
Never.
Did you ever use your PL-16 to buy a house under the Veterans Administration? Did you? I know you didn't use your PL.
I had a PL-16 filled out. I was going to go to a liberal art college in where the hell was it? Down west someplace.
Wisconsin?
Yeah, and then my father died. That killed
Do
it.
it. Minutes?
30 seconds.
Yeah, but did you use your GI Bill rights to buy a house under the VA?
No.
So you never used any of your...
I didn't use PL-16 for nothing, no.
I'll be damned. What is it
You
called?
can still go to college.
You can still go to college.
Huh?
You can still go to college. You could still go to college if you wanted to, under the VI Bill.
What?
GI Bill, you could still go to college, right now.
Did what?
You could still go to college if you wanted to, right now.
Right now?